Okay, take 13. Not kidding. I'm Mr. Moscarelli. This is the Pun Against It Personalized Portfolio, or P3 end of year tour presentation. Super excited. We're talking about the end of the year. This is awesome. All right. P3, remember, stands for Pun Against It Personalized Portfolio. Let's get into the action of what's on it. So let's get rid of my face and start talking. What do you have to do before the end of the year? Well, here's a quick checklist. You hopefully have already started to upload at least one acceptable entry per course. You've already hopefully worked on that resume. You're going to upload that as well. Hopefully you again have been working on your use science kind of questionnaire, and you're going to start to analyze the data. And you're also going to, of course, complete this tour and present the tour in person at the end of the school year. We're going to talk through all those pieces. So what is this tour thing that I speak of? It is a presentation of your answers to a series of prompts or questions. They can be verbal or they can be written answers. In some cases, we ask you to just do verbal. In most cases, you're going to do a little bit of both. You're going to share some evidence to kind of back up those answers, and they're all going to be posted on the your P3 in the Richer Picture system. So what happens during this actual tour? You're going to be doing the talking. We're doing the listening. The we here is 2 or more evaluators. This is going to be done on Zoom. This is going to be done virtually. We will be doing it from home. And these 2 evaluators could be most likely someone you know, a teacher, counselor you know, and then probably some other teacher or counselor or administrator, someone else. So a couple people from Pun Against the High School. By the way, we occasionally also have guests in kind of sitting in on these. Your parents, your guardians can be involved as well. You're going to do most of the talking. We're just doing the listening. How do you create a tour? There are 3 basic steps. So you're going to create content, then responses, and then the final tour. So first, the content. You're going to upload 1 acceptable entry per class and then complete those tasks, which I've already spoken about. So the entries per class, 1 entry per class, including VHS classes, Edgenuity classes, Learning Lab classes are the only ones that are exempt. That button right here, this latest news button, is an important one because when you click on it, it takes you to the Richer Picture Systems. I'm sorry, this button is on the Richer Picture System, and it takes you to this kind of help page that I've made. And what you'll see here, by the way, is in January, I posted some videos explaining your requirements for this year. So this is the kind of thing where if you're not quite so sure about the details, go to that help page and you're gonna get a lot of information. When we're talking about entries, which entries should you upload for tour purposes? So don't just upload anything. It needs to be acceptable. It needs to earn a 3 or 4 on the transferable skill rubric. It has to have an artifact attached to it. So that's the piece of work, the document, the video, whatever it is. It should be something that you're proud of and can kind of really talk about. And it should be a substantial piece of work. Don't put in some like little tiny thing. Put in something that's substantial. Your teachers will coach you through this whole process. But again, you want like discussion-worthy pieces of work and things that help you argue that you have the skills or are gaining the skills to graduate. Second phase is create responses. So these are the prompts that I'm going to go through the prompts in a minute, and you're going to use those in this tool called the organizer to create draft responses. This is basically about drafting your responses. So I think this is the point where I'm about to show you, but let me show you the overview first. All right, so 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. Notice 11th grade is all these check boxes. That means they are doing all these kinds of prompts. You don't need to like worry about this. This is kind of my outline that shows me that in 11th grade that you do all these things. If you're in 10th grade, there's some pieces like senior passion project and senior summer preparations. You're not doing those yet. And in 9th grade, you're not doing those. You're also not talking about your transferable skills need. But for the most part, a lot of you are doing a lot of the same work. It just gets a little bit more in depth every single year. And these are organized into basic sections: introduction, being on track, entries, careers, and plans to kind of get there, careers and colleges, I should say, and resume, and then some extra pieces at the end. So where are the prompts? You can get them by going to the latest news page. I'm going to try to do it this way. So if I log in as a student and I click on that latest news page, I'm going to scroll down, and right here, the end of year tour prompts folder exists. And inside this folder, they're 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. I'm going to go to the 11th grade just because it has the most entries. But again, many of the questions are the same. So this is the series of questions. I'm going to highlight a couple things. I'm not going to go through all of them right now, but I just want to highlight a couple things in here. So first up, there are a couple of things at the top. Number one, I'm going to keep adding links to this document. So don't just kind of make a copy of this or something like this. This document is going to be dynamic. I'm going to keep adding links. For example, right here is a video link that takes you to a video that I made, which is like a 1 or 2 minute video just on this question. You're going to see more video links show up in the future. Okay, so that's thing number one. Thing number two, so is come back basically. Thing number two is that date is a best guess. That date is likely to change. I don't know yet. That's the earliest that it will lock. It will not lock any earlier than that. And when I say lock, meaning you can't change anything on your portfolio after that time. More on that in some future video. And your score is going to count as a summative grade in your English class in 4th quarter. So these are some details that you have there. If you need help, have a question, you can go to this help page. I am just right up front loading all of the helpful things. This one is definitely a work in project and a work in progress English, but I am going to be updating this, and this just gives you some little kind of hints along the way. So again, another good, helpful place to go. Finally, it says here, pay special attention to the italicized fonts. These are the questions or actions. So anytime you're scrolling through this, look at the italicized and bold. And I would love you to type all of your drafts into these tour organizers. This is what the organizer looks like here. It's basically kind of a gutted version of the tour. And the point is, you make a copy of this, and then you make it your own. So this is where you start typing your responses into these boxes. Please don't do it on this because A, there's too many words here. There's no logical place for you to type. And B, I'm going to be making changes to this initial document, so I don't want you to make a copy and then miss all the changes. All right, quickly, let's just walk through the prompts. Again, this is junior year. This is the most, but you're going to all introduce yourselves and a little bit about you. You're going to just basically say, am I on track? Do I have my entries or don't I? You're going to talk about transferable skills. In most cases, you're going to talk about 2-ish entries and the skills that you have, the transferable skills that you have. You're going to talk about the ones that you've done outside of school as well as the ones you've done inside of school, even if you don't have necessarily evidence of those. And for some of you, you're going to be asked to talk about ones that you need or ones that you need to work on. The goal setting and the planning section is about career interests, and this is where you're going to rely heavily on use science. So make sure you have gone through use science and finished that all up. I'm going to add some more directions later, or the counselors will, but there's a quick video walkthrough right there. And again, that's being led by the counseling department. You should see all the links you need in your Canvas home base pages. And you're going to talk about things like your career interests, and then either you're going to college or some other post-secondary education, trade school, whatever it may be. And you're going to start talking about that. As a 10th and 11th grader, you're going to start to get into some details here. You're also going to do things like search for colleges and careers and find some information, and then show us on the back end that you've done that. There's no right or wrong answers there. It's just showing us that you're doing your research. And then what plans are you making at Pontiac High School to get prepared for that future? And we're going to ask you to do some alignment. You're going to look at things like admissions requirements at certain colleges. Then we want you to take a look at some of your own scores and how are they doing relative to those admissions requirements, and make sure that you are taking the courses and things that will get you to that future you want. In the next part, you're going to talk about your resume. Mostly it's uploading it, and then a couple of questions about what you need to maybe build or add to your resume in the future. And then again, juniors are going to be doing things like the Senior Passion Project, thinking about the senior summer. And then for several of you, I think actually all of you, there's a letter to a future self where you get to send yourself a letter kind of congratulating yourself just before graduation. And then an optional question about making next year great. This is a strange year. We just want to make sure that Pontiac High School is as good as possible for you next year. So this is a chance for you to give us some of your opinions. So that's a very quick overview of the tour prompts themselves. We just saw those prompts. So I'm going to take a quick aside. Transferable skills, or TSs. So first of all, get used to the acronym TSs. It's new to all of us, but so I'm going to use the term TSs a lot. And also, some people are a little bit confused, again, understandably, about what the transferable skills are. They are not these 4 big bucket ideas here, these nouns: communicator, thinker, citizen, and learner. Those are the big 4 nouns. They are the umbrellas or the buckets that have underneath them the transferable skills. So the transferable skills are written as verbs here. So identify, self-directs, perseveres, reflects, etc. are all actions under the noun of being a learner. Now, we have also added, for portfolio or P3 purposes, a kind of coding system. So you'll see think 1, think 2, think 3, sit 1, sit 2, learn 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can also refer to them by those, because that's how the computer essentially refers to them. So again, just remember, the smaller grain size ones are the transferable skills. These are the ones that have rubrics. This is where you are, the level at which you're talking for your tour. Okay. We're back. The final tour itself, you're going to take those draft responses that you've made using the tools I just showed you, and now you're going to finally upload all of these to a tour space within the P3 portfolio system. Let's tour the tour. It's the meta tour. So you're going to click on the tours button. By the way, these are not going to be live for you for a little while. Probably the week of May 13th or so. 12th, 13th is my target date. Just because we want to make sure that they work. And the basic structure here is, if you see in the upper corner, if I want to view the tour, I click the view tour button and I can't change anything here. So if you get confused, this is the most common thing. People are like, I'm clicking, I can't change anything. What's wrong? It's click the pencil button and now you can edit it, okay? Tabs. One tab lines up with each of the questions of the tour. Some of them are straightforward. It's just a box, cut and paste your response right in there. By the way, we did not turn on a lot of formatting tools, so don't go crazy with bolds and underlines because they're going to get deleted. Just make a couple paragraph answer or whatever it is, cut and paste it there, you're good to go. Some of the questions are going to ask you to choose entries. This is a demo account, so don't worry about this, but you'll have to select entries and then add them or things like that. And then there may be questions below. So just be careful. Make sure you save. You scroll to the bottom of everything and make sure you're always hitting save. This does have a save button. We're not used to save buttons in the world of Google, but please make sure you hit the save button. You're also going to have a completeness page. Again, this is a demo one, which lists all your classes and how many assignments you received. And the key is you want to have that magic number of acceptable entries needs to be 1 for each of these classes. So each of these is going to have its own separate adventure. I'm going to make videos for the ones that are the most confusing. And at the end, you're going to be evaluated. There will be a rubric there. It's still in draft form. I'm not going to talk about that right now. And so that's the tour. It's on the system. And then what we basically do is sit with you and just click through it. Deep breaths here, people. It's going to be okay. Seems like a lot. I know. What are you going to do? Deep breaths. I'm serious. Like, take some deep breaths sometimes if you're starting to think like, oh, this is too much. I can't handle it. You can handle it. Generations of people. I think there are people who now have grandkids who've done the port. No, maybe not grandkids, but we have like multiple generations of people now who've done the portfolio tour. It's been a long time because, it's so awesome. We're just keeping it going. We're keeping it going. Second thing is time is on your side. I'm clearly losing my mind a little bit, so I'm going to try to stick with the script. You have about 5 weeks to answer 6 to 8 questions. I think most of you can handle 1 point something questions per week. It's going to be okay. You're going to be fine. Literally just chunk it. Just take that. I'm just going to make sure that I have blank done this week, the second question done next week. If you've done the pieces and parts, if you already built your resume, like great, you just have to write a sentence or 2 on it and that's done. If you've already done most of science, that's going to help you. That's a complicated question. The one about like, what do you want to do when you grow up? That's going to take a little longer, but getting the science done now, it's going to help. Take it in chunks. When are you supposed to do this? Many of you are busy people. but most of you have personalization period of time that you can use. You get academic support and there are other things going on, but a lot of the time actually is going to be taken for this purpose. Because we value it here at Punt Against the High School. And sometimes you don't need academic support, et cetera, on a given day, so work on it. Some classes, especially like the English 9th grade, they've traditionally supported the students. And you can talk to your teachers. Again, for the most part, you're not going to need tons of time because you have some downtime in your life. Think about this. Over the next 40 days or so before this is due, you're going to have about 1,000 hours or 60,000 minutes or so of time available to you. Yes, you need to sleep and eat and drink and do things like that, but make sure you take some of this time, a few hours probably to finish up this tour. Please don't procrastinate. The timeline on this, early May, is when you're going to do youth science. That's basically like this week and next, so start cranking on youth science if you haven't already. And get the pieces of that done. May 12th, the tours will go live. Roughly May 12th, they'll go live. And you don't really need to actually touch them or do anything on May 12th. You're going to receive but I would go back and say, maybe start putting in some pieces of it. Like if your resume's done, just get it up there and get, one thing done, etc. Late May to early June is when you're going to receive your tour date and tour time. So you'll be assigned a certain day at, let's say, 10:30 in the morning to meet with these two teachers, and they will eventually get you a Zoom link, and that's how it's going to be set up. And then roughly mid-June, I don't have a date yet, the whole P3 system is going to lock, so you can log in, but you won't be able to edit anything. And the basic idea is we kind of shut it down so the teachers have time to catch up, do any grading, pre-reading of your tours, etc. And then on that assigned date and time, you show up and you present, and it's going to be great. So what do you do right now? Work on those course entries. Talk to your teachers. Make sure you have one entry per class. That is absolutely something you can be doing right now. Some teachers have a plan for, hey, fourth quarter, a few weeks, you're going to do that big assignment. So don't sweat it. Do that big assignment, do well, and then put it up when you're done. You should absolutely, if I haven't mentioned it again before, youth science. Finish your youth science. Whoops. And then make sure you are improving your resume. Get that uploaded, and then you could start working on your tour responses. What's the point of doing this, by the way? So it is about thinking back. It's about reflecting, like, how are things doing? How am I doing? How did this year go, etc. It's also about thinking ahead, creating goals and plans. We're talking about like your big time future, your career, how you're going to get there in terms of post-secondary goals, and what kind of classes you're going to take next year, even experiences this summer you're going to try to have to get there. So we kind of think back and then think ahead. And your job is to really tie this to your own experience and interests. So you're trying to find the way that school can connect to your life. Pragmatically, it's also about presentation practice, getting comfortable talking to adults. The seniors on May 13th are going to be presenting their senior passion projects. And on that day, they're going to be doing something that's very similar to this. So this is, as a 9th grader, we want you to start presenting, and that way you gain the confidence. So as a senior, you'll do great. Does this count for anything? It is part of a graduation requirement. I didn't put that in, but yes, by the way, it's part of a graduation requirement. It's got that intrinsic self-reflection value. You're going to learn something about yourself. It also celebrates you. I mean, how often do people ask you a ton of things about yourself and brag about yourself a little bit? So go for it. Celebrate yourself. Get more information about summer plans, career, college planning, et cetera, et cetera. It also will count again towards an English summative assessment in Q4. Where do you get more information? The latest news page on the P3 looks like that. On the tour prompts pages themselves, there's all those links, including the videos, which I will be slowly adding over the next few weeks. Obviously, talk to your teachers. They are the main contact for you when it comes to all of the classroom-related things. And they can also answer some tour things because many of them have been doing this for years and have been, and they're all going to be involved in assessing these tours. Finally, check your emails for more videos, etc. from me. You can reach out and email me anytime if you have questions as well. My advice, again, do it in chunks. Use your time wisely. Please don't procrastinate. This is gonna feel like a lot if you do it the night before it's due. I know you're high schoolers. I know it's kind of ingrained in you at this point in time, but you're gonna get overwhelmed if you try to tackle this thing at the last minute. Do it in chunks, and you will be a way happier person. Fine, rainy day outside, not so nice weather, great day for a portfolio. Do it. And that way, on the sunny days, you can go outside and do your thing. So talk to your W4 advisors and teachers as well and use that time. Again, I showed you this checklist before. These are the things you have to do. I hope that this made some sense to you, and I hope you make it a sparkling day. That's it. Bye.